Hello, friends, and welcome on this Monday afternoon. I hope that everyone is doing good as we get ready to get started back to school. Hopefully, all of you are in full swing. I know that we are here at Oklahoma Baptist University, and I am thrilled to be joined by my friend, Japhanie Gray. I'm going to bring her on camera now. We're going to have a conversation about getting back to school and what that looks like and how we can get involved with being successful when it comes to school and all that is involved. So we're going to bring Japhanie on camera with us right now. Working on getting Japhanie added, and glad that you could join us. Hey, Japhanie, how are you?
I almost didn't know how to do this. I was like, well, I'm pushing the button and it's not working.
Well, we figured it out, and man, I'm thrilled to see you, and thrilled to have you on this live broadcast today as we talk about being a success in life. And when I was thinking about being a success, especially at the university level, on the college level, you immediately came to mind because it was my privilege to have you as a student. I'm trying to remember what year you graduated from Arkansas State University.
It was 2015, and I think I took your class. I want to say it was the second year as a freshman, my second semester
Okay.
as a freshman.
Well, I remember you were just an outstanding student, and it was so cool to have you in class and just to see how you have flourished post graduation. So, why don't you bring the folks that are watching today kind of up to date on where you're at and what you're doing?
Okay, well, currently I'm working in San Antonio, Texas at KSAT 12 News. I got here about 6 months ago, I'd say, but if we rewind all the way back to graduation in 2015, I began working part-time at KIT as a producer, production, all that good stuff, but I was still working part-time as a radio DJ for the Jonesboro Radio Group. Miss them dearly. But yeah, eventually I had to make a decision whether to, get rid of my radio life and go straight into on-air personality with the news station. So I made that switch. I'm not really sure when exactly, but I made that switch and I became a reporter, started doing that and filling in anchoring. And then this opportunity came up, and now, like I said, I'm in San Antonio now.
Well, and I know you're doing well. You got tons of folks that are following your career and take great interest in what you're doing. And I wanted us to spend a few minutes today, kind of speaking to those that are starting in their university or their college career. Because if memory serves, I think you won just about every award they gave out at Arkansas State University. And I remember specifically in my intro to speech communication class that you were a standout. What stood out to me was your desire and your work ethic and just your dedication. I don't know if you ever slept during your university career, but you certainly stood out in my mind and stood out in the minds of those that had the privilege of having you as a student. So just kind of reflecting back on your career, what do you think was the driving motivation for you as a student?
Well, as a student, it's funny because, I went through, I'd say, a few obstacles. It was always, just work as hard as you possibly can, no matter what. And when I got to college, I remember because I switched my major at the last minute from medical biology type stuff to radio. Like I didn't even know what the actual courses were because I was coming from Osceola High School and we didn't have those type of opportunities there. So of course my mom flipped out, and I like to say that my main drive in the beginning was to show mom that I'm going to make this pay off. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I got to college, I just started volunteering. I did everything whatsoever. And I told myself, I am going to make something out of this. So that was my drive at first, but then once I actually got in and started meeting new people and learning new things, that excited me. And the fact that I was able to have these relationships and then talk to all of these people and then do things for these people, that pushed me even more to understanding it wasn't about me, it was about other people. It was about what your services can do for others. So if you fast forward all the way up to my senior year, that, like I said, that was the main power force. Please everybody, please other people, do this, be the best, blah, blah, blah. And it was just weird to slow down. But when my senior year hit in college, God, he kind of sat me down and kind of redefined where that energy was supposed to go, and the whole time I would say, hey, God's got it, God's had my back and stuff like that, but I never really truly believed it until my senior year. And I like to say that my faith and where he was taking me actually pushed me to finishing as summa cum laude, and then pushed me into, pursuing a deeper career in news and pursuing, San Antonio. So I just knew that God, this wasn't my will, this was his. So that's what actually motivated me, I'd say.
Absolutely. And that your faith, I think, is evident. Your faith in God, your faith in Christ is evident to all of those that know you, and that even comes through in the way that you conduct yourself as a television news reporter there in the San Antonio, Texas area, watching your reports. I think something, and even when you were in Jonesboro, something that stood out to everyone that tuned in was that you didn't concern yourself with the facts alone, which is very, very important. But you also concerned yourself with the human element, and you never saw and you never see the subject of your news reports as simply a means to an end, but you see the human element, and you're very concerned with their lives as well. So you talked about your dedication and your faith and your work ethic. So if you were speaking to those that are getting started in college, just embarking on their career, what advice would you give them? I know that my daughter is starting this year as a freshman, and as parents and as professors, we're always looking to give young people advice. So I think it's good to hear from one of their own. So what advice would you give folks just now starting their college career?
First and foremost, again, I hold true to this. Keep God first. That is very important. And trust me, you're going to find out and learn about it throughout your lives as you get older. But also, never move with emotions. I know from my experience in college, a lot of my classmates and even people that I would know that would go through the system before me or were coming after me, they would just do the basics, like they would just do the exact that they were asked to do. And that wasn't fun for me because I figured, how do you stand out? What makes you so unique? Makes you so special? What do you have that you've been blessed with that you can use differently than someone else that are just basically taking the same exact test that you're taking? So again, I would just encourage everyone to always go over and beyond, no matter what. Live life to the fullest. You're only going to enter college, hopefully, one good round as an undergrad. And if you pursue further, you will know that it takes a lot of extra work, a lot of hard work. And sometimes that extra work that you do in the beginning is stuff that you were supposed to be doing as a senior, moving with emotions. So you, as a freshman, you'd be way ahead of the curve. So again, just keep moving, work hard, and be the best that you can be, and worry about you. Don't try to please everybody else, because that will definitely get you in a downward spiral in some situations.
I think that's excellent advice. And as a college professor, I've been privileged to have so many outstanding students come through my classes through the years. I just saw that Carol Ann Rowland was watching. Love Carol Ann.
I
Hello,
love
Carol.
her. Her little boy is so precious.
Absolutely. And I see Monica Harrison is watching as well. And she was a student through a online Bible school that I teach. So it's good to see that these students coming on board and watching today. And for all of my present students, I know something that I think I shared with you in your class. You may not remember. I know you've got a lot going on. But we talked about when we were preparing for our speeches, and a lot of times students would have difficulty coming up with a subject matter for that particular speech. And I talked about identifying your passion, and this probably isn't original with me. I picked it up somewhere along the way, that you've got to answer three questions. What makes you mad? What makes you glad? And what makes you sad? And at the intersection of that, you're probably going to identify your passion, because God has wired us in a way that when we answer those three questions, we're going to be unique and different from the person that's next to us. And what you had to say about, focusing on yourself and taking care of your business, and making sure that you are excelling in the places that you're challenged, and not worrying about what other people are doing is so very important, not only to those that maybe are starting out in their university career, but also in life and in work ethic. Discovering what it is that makes you mad. What is it that makes you glad? What is it that makes you sad? And at the intersection of that, figuring that out and discovering, that's where my passion is. And so you told us that you started in the medical field in the university, and then you switched over to radio and to broadcast journalism. How did you discover, and I think it's obvious to all of us that have followed, that you made the right choice.
Yeah.
How did you discover that was your passion?
Well, it's funny because, again, it boiled down to, I guess, those questions that you just asked, and again, it boils down to trying to please others, and before yourself, and before God, of course. And my biggest issue with my case, when I was in high school, I love science. I loved all of these different things related to, medical field and stuff like that. But I guess as I got older, I would just hear doctor, 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 from my parents, and I know a lot of people, when we say, worry about yourself. And I know, as harsh as it may be, even your parents, they got to take a back seat sometimes too. And I wasn't doing that in my high school career. And then I noticed that I just wasn't happy with trying to prove a point that, okay, I'm going to be the best doctor in the world. I'm going to suffer through medical school. Not to say everybody who's made that decision, that's your animal, but it wasn't mine.
Right.
But, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to be super rich one day, and I'm going to be able to provide for my family and do the very thing that, they've been wanting me to do this whole time. So it all took ROTC, junior ROTC in Osceola, and I would do the morning announcements because I was the cadet colonel, the one in charge of all of our, people. And it was fun. I love that because I would do cadences. I'd go out and I would, we do community service and stuff like that. But it was just the simple act of doing the morning announcements, which was basically, the Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, and the lunch menu. Of course, I clown big time on the lunch menu because I was just like, I'm going to have fun with this, wake people up. And everybody loved that. And it was so fun for me. And I felt like, participating in theater and speeches and doing stuff like that, I loved using my voice in that form of fashion. And I felt that I wouldn't have been able to do that if I would have, been in a doctor's office sometimes. So yeah, I got to college and I didn't know anything about the degrees, and all I saw in the categories was communications. And I was just like, maybe this is it. I'm not sure, but I'm just going to say radio because I'm assuming that's what I want. That's what I think is possible. I've always wanted to be an actress and stuff, but I was just like, starting radio. And when I told mom, yeah, she, that was just, it was, it was unique transformation as to how she thought I was going with my life. And I know parents, they want the best for their kids and they want to be in control and make sure they're making the right decisions. So her not knowing anything about the field that I'm in now as well. Anyways, I told myself, we're gonna try it. Let's take a leap of faith. I'm gonna jump off this cliff and hope God catches me because I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel right about this. So went to college.
Yeah, and let
best
me
decision.
let me pick up on that because I think you said something really, really important there. A lot of young people and even a lot of us later on in life, we go through these times where we doubt our intuition, we doubt perhaps the direction that God has called us. There's a real thing known as a quarter life crisis. There's a midlife crisis, and sometimes we live off the expectations of others. And I know this because now I'm at a little different place. I've been where you were at. Been where my daughter and my son were at, and now I'm in a position where, you know, your mom was at when children come and they express things. And just a little advice for parents when their children are going back to school, that yeah, you're going to face some disappointment, but understand this, that all of us are called to live our lives as God has wired us, as God has called us. And then I think as parents, we've got to learn, especially in these college and university years, that what God is calling us to do as parents is to come alongside our children. So we're changing roles.
Right.
We're moving from that parent that is responsible for every decision of our children to that place where we're coming alongside our children as a friend and as a guide, and as someone that can give advice. But ultimately, you're exactly right. As young people, you've got to find that place inside of you where you make your decision. And look, we're all going to make mistakes.
Right.
We're all going to have problems, but that is part of the learning process. We learn the most from when we fail,
Right.
if we are willing to fail forward. And I think you're a great example of someone who did that. You went to the university, you made a mistake, but you persevered and you kept moving forward. And that's tremendous advice, Japhanie.
Yes, I appreciate you.
So where you're at in life and now, the folks that follow your career, let's talk a little bit about once you made that decision to pursue communications, broadcast journalism, radio, what advice would you give to people that are pursuing the same career path as you're pursuing?
More than anything, build those relationships. You know, stay in contact with your mentors or your teachers or those professors that you think are just giving you a hard time. You know, that's very, very much important. I apologize if I can hear my dog in the background. He's being needy.
No,
But
that's
anyways,
fine.
like I said, you know, one thing that I learned big time is that the more connections that you have and the bigger you grow that family, you know, the more they will help push you to where you need to go, and the more that they would, you know, trust you and believe in you. A couple of people that I can call off, you know, from the top of my head, you know, Dr. Pitts, big time. You know, she was the one that pushed me
Yeah.
to, you know, get an agent. She pushed me to take a risk, you know, and jump, because I'm a very much so routine person. You know, I've never traveled outside of Arkansas and stuff like that. So yeah, it was scary. It was a scary jump, but with her and then Mr. Roberts and Sandra Combs, Mr. Alex Brown, all of these main people that I thanked in my stick in it and keep going. This is my family, me wrong. And moving forward into my career, you know, at work, Rachel Coulter has been literally my sister in Christ throughout this entire time. And we still every day talk because we constantly keep up with each other in our careers and our faiths and make sure we're still going, you know. So you would understand that if you want to get in this type of field, you can't be prideful and think that it's only you. You can just make it and you can do your own thing because you're so talented. You can't have that mindset, you know, that will reject the main people that are there to open or welcome you with open arms more. So keep in contact with everybody that you feel has impacted your life in some form or fashion, because you never know where it's going to take you or when you're going to need them in the future.
That's great advice. Yeah, introduce us to your puppy. Who's your puppy
Oh
there?
my goodness. Okay. Let
He's
me show
wanting
you guys
airtime,
Bobo.
apparently.
He is like, he wants me to look at him 24/7. So look at him. Here's Bo. Come here, Bo. Where you at?
Hey, Bo.
Where you at? Right here. Look at the look, see, that's how you see okay, you see that?
Yeah.
He is so needy. But yeah, that's Bo. Come here.
Hey, Bo.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I know he's wanting some attention, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you said there about staying in touch and understanding that none of us can do what we do alone.
Right.
We all need each other, It takes effort and perseverance and making a decision that, you know what, we're going to stay in touch and achieve this together. And I think you've demonstrated that in your life. So tell the folks a little bit about the beat that you cover there in San Antonio. What kind of stories are you involved in reporting?
Well, here in San Antonio, it's a little different. We have people who have beats, those who are specialized in stuff like city council, which I'm not that good at, or politics, which I'm not that good at. But typically here, I've noticed coming from Little Jonesboro to, big city, it's a lot of hard news type stories. So you have to be ready to go on any type of crime driven story. That is something that drives the news industry. And it's something that always happens. And, of course, we being the voice of the people, we need to make sure they're, in touch with stuff like that. But one thing that I've been blessed to have that they've allowed me to do, that's my specialty, is this series called What's Up South Texas. And it's basically, me being new to San Antonio, I had a, passion to just like, how do I get out and learn what this community is about, or people in this community, or be in touch with these people in the community. Because when I was in Jonesboro in school, I was doing this program called You, Me, and the Community, and where I had time to somehow go out and, talk to these nonprofits and stuff like that. And I wanted to do that here. And, when you're always covering crime all the time, you don't really have time to look or explore. And my news director, Bernice Kearney, she's the best. I went to her and I talked to her and I was like, hey, this is what I really want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. I want to do something along these lines. And she literally just gave me the ropes and was just like, hey, if you go see a pole outside and you think it has a story, you tell it, So ever since then, they have set aside a day so I can go out and get in touch with people and their stories, whether it be, a simple story or a big community, impactful story. And so that's my specialty. It's a deep feature on the greatness of what our community can provide, But yeah, there's a lot of different beats everybody cover, and, understand that we do pick up what other people can't cover, but for the most part, we're just the voice.
Well, and you do an excellent job, Japhanie, telling other people's stories, and I'm obviously very proud of you as a professor, and I really appreciate you sharing this advice. So just kind of to recap what we've talked about getting in touch with your inner desire and making sure that you've answered those questions about what makes you mad, what makes you glad, what makes you sad, and understanding that if you started pursuing something else that maybe isn't fulfilling your passion, it's okay to change direction, and it's okay to fail forward, so to speak. And so that's tremendous advice. And then focusing on yourself and not comparing yourself with others. And
exactly.
I think you certainly demonstrated that and exemplified that at your time at Arkansas State University. And it was just a joy to have you in class. And I really appreciate as well what you had to say about your faith in God and how that is first and foremost in all of our lives. And you certainly demonstrated that in a great way as well. And now you're telling other people's stories,
yeah,
in addition to telling your own. And that is so inspirational, Japhanie. And I really appreciate
with
what you're doing.
with that being said, that's one thing that I've learned this year, because like you said, our faith is very important. And I've learned that during this move and during this course of my life. And it got to a point where, of course, my main goal is to host one day, but I was thinking, God put me in news for a reason. So one thing that I've been very, very thankful about is whether it is a shooting, whether it is something just horrible, such a negative, bad, nasty story, I know deep down in myself that God is moving throughout all these situations, throughout all these families' lives, and even in these good nugget stories that I can provide with this What's Up South Texas series. It just shows, I'm happy God is using this as a platform to reveal, his grace and how beautiful he is despite somebody's main problem. I spoke with this one lady. She was deaf. She was deaf since she was 3, but she grew up was just hating God and hating herself and hating everybody because she, you know, she was, of course, at a setback. But it took her at the age of 14 finding Jesus and understanding that she can use this deafness as a way to help others in the future. And now she has a nationally known organization dedicated to providing resources to children like herself that are faced with, you know, hearing loss. So little things like that is just something I feel
Mhm.
like that's why I'm in this industry.
Yeah, and that's a powerful story and a great illustration of how even when negative things happen in our world, and there is a lot of negativity and there is a lot of injustice that we are called by God to call out and to point out, and all of us have a different calling. And what I appreciate about you is that you haven't run away from the negative places and the dark places in our world, but when you're telling these stories, you're showing the light of redemption, and you're demonstrating that, look, there's a light that should be turned on as well. So as we're telling these stories of hurt and of crime and of evil and of darkness, we need to accentuate the light as well. And that's something I appreciate about your reporting, and that I appreciate about you as a person.
Thank you, Scott. Over here about to make me
Well,
cry. I'm over here.
well, you're doing a very good job, and you're an inspiration to all of us. And when I stand in front of my students, which I'll be doing here in just a few moments, you and others like you are the inspiration that keep me going, because I know that we're planting seeds for the future, and it means that we should not run from the problems of our culture and the problems of what's going on in our world, but rather we need to keep turning on that light. And you are certainly a light in our world, and we appreciate what you're doing, Javni. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, we need to do this again
Yes,
sometime.
please do. Like Mondays and Tuesdays are my awkward days off. So anytime during this time, let me know.
Well, if folks want to see you in the San Antonio area, where do they tune in, and how do they access what you're doing?
Yeah, you can go online. There's, of course, we got the app. It's called KSAT 12 News or ksat.com. You can find that on Facebook. You'll have all of our stories posted there. And also, you can just follow me on Twitter or my Facebook account or my professional account. It's called KSAT Japhanie Gray. And yeah, I'll keep those stories posted. And like I said, anytime you want to smile or have a feel good day or something, just click on that and, you know, we can talk.
Well, Javni, is there anything else you would just like to leave us with today before we head on out of here?
No, I mean, like I said, more than anything, you know, your life is, you know, is special, and more than anything, understand that your life is more special to Christ. And if you hold true to your faith and you hold true to understanding that He should be first all the time, you know, you understand that, you know, even as adults, you know, even now when we get in our field, we have a tendency to try to take control over a lot of things and put them on the, you know, back burner or be like, I need to do this in this worldly view of life. But you understand and know that leaving the control in God's hands in all cases, no matter what, will push you to wherever you need to be at the right time, the right place, for the right reason.
Well said. And to all the folks that are going to watch this or watch this later, make sure and leave a comment below. And we want to get your feedback, and all of the folks in the all of our friends in the San Antonio area. Be sure and tune in and watch Japhanie, and just thank her for the good work that she's doing, and to all the journalists out there who are doing a good work, especially in the day and age in which we live. We appreciate you very much, Japhanie.
God bless you guys.
All right. We'll see you next time. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.